no matter how much you do, the chaos just keeps creeping back in. Here's the good news though. There is a way to create a peaceful home without feeling like a slave to it. And it doesn't require working harder to declutter your home or implementing a new organizing strategy and cleaning system. It requires retraining your mind to approach homemaking differently. True freedom is learning to calm your mind in the middle of the chaos. And that is the key to a calm, simplified home. When you can master this, you're well on your way to the calm, simplified home of your dreams, regardless of the circumstances. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a few things that you can do to simplify your home today. You won't need to put a lot of work or effort into these strategies. You can make these changes starting today, regardless of your circumstances. When I had 2 kids, I could still manage everything pretty well. The house stayed clean all the time and I could keep up with my favorite routines. And while it wasn't always easy, it didn't seem impossible. But then baby number 3 came along and suddenly, no matter how much I cleaned, the house never felt actually clean. And my tasks never seemed to be done. I was constantly overwhelmed, but I couldn't figure out why. Then I heard something that made it all make sense. A couple of moms were talking about how 3 kids is often harder than 4, not because of the children, but because at 3, you can still technically do it all, like keep up with all your routines and keep the house exactly how you want it and all of that, but you really shouldn't. Most moms at this stage are still holding on to the same expectations they had when they just had 1 or 2 children, and that's what makes it feel so impossible, because at 3 children, it's just too much to hold on to those same expectations. So once you finally let go, that's when you'll finally be able to breathe again. Now, this isn't to say that when you have 1 or 2 children, or any number of children, that this concept doesn't apply, because it absolutely does still apply. The whole point of this is to say that you have to let go, you have to surrender. And that's exactly what I had to do when I had my 3rd. I had to let go and surrender. And some people realize this after 1 child, some people realize this after 2, and some people realize this after 4 children. The funny thing about peace is that it's not something you can strive to create. It's a fruit of the Spirit, a gift from the Lord. For so long, I believed that if I could just find the right home management system, declutter more, or develop the best cleaning routine, I would finally feel at peace. But no matter how much I tried, I was still overwhelmed. Until one day, I stood in my messy kitchen. The dishes were piled high, the baby was screaming, but my hands were tied with another child. Crumbs were everywhere. And just feeling like the walls were caving in on me. Overwhelmed, out of my mind, I whispered, "Lord, I cannot do this. Please help me." And in that moment, the Lord impressed something on my heart. I realized that I was trying to control everything instead of trusting God to sustain me. Peace doesn't come from keeping a perfect home or controlling all the aspects of your life that you think make you feel comfortable. It comes from surrendering your expectations and letting God guide you through your days without the desperate need to control it all. So you may be wondering, okay, I want to surrender, but how? I teach something in my course called Brain Retraining Mindsets, or BRMs, and they're a part of the Christian brain rewiring formula that I provide for my students. And these act as anchors throughout your day, helping you to align your thoughts with God's truth and respond with intention rather than reactivity towards your family. One of my students emailed me with the perfect example of how she used one of these in the heat of a stressful moment to cultivate calm and peace in her home. She said, "One night my 2-year-old was freaking out at the dinner table, so I had taken him to another room to calm down. He was tantruming and then I was getting frustrated. I found myself winding tighter and tighter in my chest." I'm sure we all have felt this from time to time, right? Then the Spirit reminded me of my BRM, that I am a calm and joyful mother. And in that moment, I lived into that belief and chose calm. It was a pivotal moment in my journey. So this student perfectly used the BRM in conjunction with the whole rest of the Christian brain rewiring formula that I offer, but she used it so perfectly and beautifully. And as a result, she was able to respond to her family in a way that she was proud of. For many women, the struggle isn't just knowing what to do. It's feeling paralyzed by guilt, self-doubt, or the fear of failure. They want to change, but they feel stuck in old patterns. And that's why my course has been such a catalyst for transformation, because it doesn't just provide the tools, it gives women the permission and the pathway to step into a new way of being. And that is why I love emails like this. So if you feel stuck in this cycle too and you long for a breakthrough, I'd love for you to join my free Christian homemaking reset workshop. This is where I'll teach you how I broke free from chronic overstimulation and drudgery in my homemaking. So I'll leave the link for that below. There was something else that I was doing though that was unknowingly overcomplicating my home, but ironically, it was something that I thought was making life easier. Once I stopped Googling how to run my home, that's when I truly simplified my home. Hear me out, because I know what you may be thinking. Sometimes you just need to research something. And I'm not saying never Google anything ever again. What I'm suggesting is that you reduce your sphere of influence by a lot. So if you're anything like me and how I was, here was my routine. I had an issue. Let's say my baby had eczema. I would instantly go to Google, and that would lead me to some Reddit threads and maybe a blog post. Then I'd go to my trusty Facebook groups, and then that would lead me down another rabbit hole. Before I knew it, I was 2 hours deep into research, and I was even more confused than before. Now I do what mothers probably used to do, and I pray about the issue first, then I talk to my husband, and then maybe a few trusted women from church or a Bible study that I'm a part of. And those are my options, and it's so simple and so freeing. And at first it feels like you're not using all the tools that you have, but when it comes down to it, you're actually using the only tools that you will ever need, and you're simplifying your life because you're going to be so much less confused, I promise. So I know there are some women out there who don't have a ton of positive influences in their life, and I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you, because there's nothing better than a community of Christian women. So in addition to prayer and your husband, what I would do if I were you is I would choose less than a handful of accounts or trusted online resources that you follow for guidance like this. But make sure that you choose them very specifically. You just really want to avoid falling down into rabbit holes all in the name of research. There's one more way I like to simplify my home when I'm overwhelmed. There comes a moment when you realize that the stress in your home isn't just coming from the mess or chaos, it's coming from the weight of your own unrealistic expectations. It's good to have high standards for your home and even for your children. This is where growth happens, and that's good. But if those standards are making you resentful, anxious, or exhausted, they might just be stealing your joy and hindering you more than serving you. For a long time, I let things that I learned about homemaking and mothering guide my expectations of how I ran my own home. But over time, I realized that, number one, I wasn't getting the full story when it came to these other women's lives or their routine and their children. And number two, they lived a completely different life than me, and what works for them might not and probably won't work for me. So when I tried to implement the same routines in a plug-and-play manner into my own home, it was like an uphill battle and totally stealing my joy. So I reached a turning point. I could either let high expectations, which really just came from comparison, turn me into a stressed-out tyrant, or I could create a home environment that was specific to my family, filled with joy and grace instead of pressure to live up to certain standards that only work for someone else's family. It's such a breath of fresh air to let go of the guilt of not meeting someone else's expectations and instead embrace the freedom to live by the standards that are right for your own family. The secret to a simplified home isn't decluttering. It's learning to stay calm in the chaos so that no matter what's happening around you, you set the tone of your home. You do this intentionally through surrendering the stressful seasons to the Lord, filling your mind with only truth, reducing your sphere of influence, and having realistic expectations that work for your specific family. So if you want help with this, please check out my free Christian homemaking workshop. It's designed to help you overcome overwhelm, retrain your brain for peace, and create a home that feels joyful. Click the link below to join and let me know in the comments what's one thing you're letting go of this week to simplify your home. I'd love to hear from you. It was such a joy to have you here, and if you'd like to learn more about how I simplify my life as a mother and the specific stress traps that I avoid, watch this next video.
Jerome's has it all when it comes to a bedroom upgrade. From twin to king, traditional to modern, storage beds, upholstered fabric beds, all with the latest features.
Get it now and pay later with Jerome's no interest financing from 12 to 60 months.
No matter where you are, protect what matters most with McAfee's all-in-one protection. An award-winning antivirus to protect you from online threats. A personalized protection score to strengthen your online safety. And identity monitoring that fixes risks up to 10 months faster. McAfee. Online protection made easy. Visit McAfee.com to learn more.
Today I'm going to take you along my day of homemaking, and I'm going to talk to you about our ministry of home, or our ministry of homemaking as homemakers. And I am just doing some homemaking tasks today. I'm due with this next baby any second now. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm in early labor as I'm filming this video. So we'll see how it progresses. But I am making some cold brew coffee, which I think I've shared on this channel before, but I'll share my favorite way to make cold brew coffee. It's super silly simple, but it's so good. And then I'm going to share an easy summer meal with you and just take you along some other homemaking tasks. So lots of fun things to share with you. But what I'm really excited to talk to you about is our ministry of home. So did you know that you have a ministry as a homemaker? It's your ministry of home. Not only should our ministry begin in the home, whether you're a husband or a wife, mother or father, but as homemakers, our ministry is the home. Okay, so here I make coffee. Like I said, it's so simple to make this coffee, and it does take about 17 hours to brew, but again, the hands-on nothing. So right now you can see me draining it. I'm just draining the coffee through what are these called? Cheesecloths, and over top of a fine mesh strainer into a funnel into a large mason jar. Whatever process works for you is totally fine. This is just what works for me. So the cheesecloth is very important though, because that gets all the sludge out of the coffee, that kind of settles to the bottom. So that's what I do. And yeah, I take the coffee after it's brewed for 17 hours and I ladle it into the jar, and then I put it in the fridge, and that's it. And then I start a new batch right away. And so you'll see in a minute what that looks like. But all you do to start your batch of coffee is put 2 cups of pre-ground coffee, which the pre-ground portion isn't entirely necessary. It just makes it super easy. But if you want to go and grind up your own coffee, that's totally fine. But gotta use pre-ground coffee for this because I'm using quite a bit, 2 cups worth. So I take 2 cups of the coffee and then this large mason jar. I think this is like a half-gallon mason jar. And I fill that to the top of water. And I dump it in the coffee and I stir it up. And then I cover it. And then I sit for 17 hours. And then I sleep, just like I've been showing you. And that's it. So the ratio is 200 grams of the ground coffee and 1,600 grams of filtered water. So if you're interested in this, so that's obviously personal preference, but that's what I have found to be the best tasting. For reference, we love very strong coffee. I feel like mamas need strong coffee. And everyone who comes to my summer play groups and, all my play dates that I host at my house, all the moms love it. And so, I don't know, I think that that's the best. But you can be a judge of that. So let's first take a look at the Proverbs 31 woman and see what she exemplified in her ministry. It says, an excellent wife who can find. Oh, by the way, I'm starting on verse 10. An excellent wife who can find. She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and she has no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers the field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and she does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. The excellent wife, there's a lot of qualities, and we're going to go into a deeper dive into the Proverbs 31 a little bit later in the video. But she's an excellent wife who her husband can trust. She works diligently and willingly. She does the work of provisioning for her home. She wakes early so she can feed her family. She keeps herself strong inside and out. She's generous to the needy. She keeps watch over her home. She's prepared for the future. She makes and sells things. She's wise and kind, not lazy. She fears the Lord. This in itself is a great calling as a wife and mother. We can minister to our husbands and our children by our good conduct. We can serve our homes well by working diligently and loving and training our children. What a high calling. So there was a time when I was actually asked to serve in my church in a way that was super exciting, but it would have been very time consuming. And when I consulted my mentor, she told me to remember that my first ministry is my home. And if that's not completely in order, then my focus should be there before any outside ministry. When she reminded me of this, it forced me to evaluate if I had my ministry of home fully in order. and if I could honestly say that I was ready to take on ministry outside of the home. 1 Timothy 3:5 says, "For if a man not know how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the church of God?" So by no means is this meant to discourage you from volunteering in your church. So, if you do have more to give after you've tended to your home and family, then by all means, please serve the church. What a blessing that is. But if you're a homemaker who feels tapped out just by serving your home and your family, please do not feel like that isn't enough. It's exactly what the Lord called you to. Deuteronomy 6:4-7 says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." Do you understand the gravity of these verses? We as homemakers are discipling our children, who will go on to disciple their children, and so on and so forth. We are building multi-generational disciples for Christ. I'll say it again. What a high calling. I was reading John Piper's book called Don't Waste Your Life. And in it, he tells this story of this retired couple who, in his mind, were wasting their life because what they were doing had nothing to do with serving the Lord. And I will tell you, when he was telling this story, I was howling as I was reading his take on their life in retirement. So I'm just going to read you this little excerpt from this book. He says, "I tell you what a tragedy is. I'll read to you from Reader's Digest what a tragedy is. Bob and Penny took early retirement from their jobs in the Northeast 5 years ago when he was 59 and she was 51. Now they live in Punta Gorda, Florida, where they cruise on their 30-foot trawler, play softball, and collect shells. That's a tragedy. And people today are spending billions of dollars to persuade you to embrace that tragic dream. And I get 40 minutes to plead with you. Don't buy it. With all my heart, I plead with you, don't buy that dream. The American dream, a nice house, a nice car, a nice job, a nice family, a nice retirement, collecting shells as the last chapter before you stand before the creator of the universe to give an account of what you did. Here it is, Lord, my shell collection." Oh, the moral of the story was to be sure that you're not living for yourself, but that you're serving the Lord in ways in which He's called you to serve. As homemakers, it's very clear what our calling is. Titus 2:3-6 tells us plainly that older women, likewise, are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to much wine. They are to teach what is good, and so train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind, and submissive to their own husbands. The word of God may not be reviled. So here I am making overnight oats. I make these different every single time, but this time I'm just using a super basic flavor profile. I'm doing brown sugar, kind of inspired. I'm using that Swerve 0-calorie brown sugar. This is actually one of the first times that I've used this. I used it in one other recipe. It's pretty good, but anyways, you could also just use regular brown sugar and then raisins. So it's just like the classic oatmeal, but I make it into overnight oats. So I put all the ingredients together, cover it up in this big bowl, pop it in the fridge, call it a day. It's super simple, but I love having this on hand because I can just take a scoop out, put it in a bowl for the kids, and they love this. And usually I'll serve it alongside eggs so that they can get a little more protein. But I do throw in chia seeds, hemp seeds, just keep this big bowl in the fridge, and it's great for an easy breakfast in the morning. So what can our ministry of home look like exactly? So that's what I'm going to go into in the rest of this video, is how can we steward this ministry well? The first thing I can think of is to set an example for those in our home of how a Christian behaves. I think of Titus 2 when it says women are to be reverent and good, self-controlled and pure, kind and submissive to our husbands. So we can emulate these traits to those in our own house, but we can also emulate these traits to anyone who we bring into our home. And I think that that's a really big part of our ministry as homemakers. Another obvious way to minister in your home is to teach your children about Jesus, regardless of whether you homeschool or not. Don't leave this up to the schooling system. You are to be the expert, and you want to be the one that your children come to when they have questions. So it's your job to keep these lines of communication open. Remember Deuteronomy 6:7, which says, "You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." So always be teaching your children the Christian way. So dinner tonight is a super easy summer meal. I love this kind of dinner because I can make it pretty much completely in advance and just serve it up when it's dinner time, just by pulling out all the ingredients. So it's a nourish bowl, and you can do these all different ways using whatever ingredients you have on hand. But today I had sweet potatoes, I hard-boiled some eggs, I did quinoa, and then I put some spinach in the quinoa so that it lifted up. I had pickled asparagus and pickled onions, avocado, and then I had made earlier in the week a honey mustard sauce, and so I just used that to top it off. But that was dinner, and my favorite way to hard-boil eggs is so simple, but it makes the shell come off so easily. You get the pot of water boiling, then you add the eggs. We like to do a jammy egg, so I do an 8-minute boil, and it makes it nice and jammy. And then you put the eggs in the egg, and then let them completely cool down. And then you peel them over just like a small stream of running water, and they come right off. So that's how I do hard-boiled eggs. Hospitality is another great way to minister in your home. As a mom to littles who often meets other moms of littles, I like to open my home to play dates with other moms. I try to be hospitable and have snacks and drinks to serve and fun toys or activities for the children. I just love being able to offer, something that may brighten a homemaker's week. And I don't know, just offer something for us moms to look forward to. Also, we're so blessed to have a really big backyard with lots of space for the children to play and roam. So I also host a summer play group where I invite all the mamas I know over to let their kids play while we sip on cold brew coffee, eat snacks, and chat, and it's just a really good time. So like I said before, the Proverbs 31 woman exemplified the ministry of home at its finest. She has a husband who trusts
Hey y'all,
her because she doesn't
how y'all
do all
doing?
her days. So what would this look like? I find that simply taking care of my husband when it comes to feeding him, managing the home, and giving him lots of good loving is what makes him feel taken care of. Of course, speaking words of encouragement to him and his ability to provide and protect our family is another really good way. And then obviously never speaking poorly of him. These are all ways to help our husband trust us. The Proverbs 31 woman is a hard worker in the home. She buys and sells the things needed for her household and the things that she makes. She's crafty and a good businesswoman. So what could this look like for us? Well, I think many women in this day and age think of the girl boss when they read these verses. Personally, I think it's a little more simple than that. I think it's enough to be smart with managing our money that our spouses provide. I think finding the best deals and stewarding our things well is perfectly enough. Taking care of the things in our home by keeping them well maintained really goes a long way too. Notice too that the Proverbs 31 woman is up early and goes to bed late. I think of this as, you know, the captain of a ship, where they're the last one off the ship if it goes down, it's sinking.
Okay, baby.
That's kind of what it reminds me of. And although there are many seasons
Just trying to
of
feed down the
a
couch,
woman's life
okay?
where
Motor.
we're going to need to get to bed earlier or, you know, sleep in until the kids wake up. But we should be sure that we are working diligently to care for our home and family, even if that means that we need to wake up earlier or go to bed later. The Proverbs 31 woman takes care of herself. She is strong inside and out. So this can look like being strong spiritually by dedicating daily time in the Word and prayer. It can also look like moving your body in a way that keeps you fit and healthy. The Proverbs 31 woman was generous to the needy, so she extended her ministry of home outside the four walls of her home by serving others when she was little. For me, I love making meals for others who are going through a hard time or in a season of postpartum. This is a great way to minister to others and just exemplify Christ by sacrificially serving others. I also love serving other homemakers and myself. This is part of my ministry by sharing my own homemaking journey and what I've learned along the way. Aside from the simple homemaking tips and recipes and encouragement I provide, I also very vulnerably share my own struggles and transformation into homemaking. I went from burnt out, angry, overwhelmed as a homemaker to someone who's totally fulfilled in her role and who experiences the Lord's perfect peace most of my life. So I created a free workshop which explains my 5-step framework for how the Lord led me to this transformation, and I'll leave a link for that below if you're interested. So one of my nesting tasks was to clean out all of our registers and vacuum those out and dust them. And as I was doing that, I noticed that we had a few in our house that were disgusting. They were even kind of rusted out. And so what I'm doing here is just replacing those. And this is like one of my last nesting tasks. And then also my hospital bag is completely packed. Well, not completely. There's a few last minute things that I need to put in there. But yeah, everything feels just really ready for this baby to come. So we'll see when he decides to make his grand entrance. Okay, so I'm going to give you some homemaker homework today. And it is to go through each quality of the Proverbs 31 woman and think of your own ways that you can embody the qualities in your own home. I hope this was an edifying video for you and empowering for you as a homemaker. Your ministry is your home, and you have so many opportunities to serve the Lord through your homemaking. Thank you so much for watching.
When the world gave them setbacks, science gave them bounce backs. And when your vet delivered life-altering news, science delivered life-changing.
But what for? Screws.
Believe,
some laundry.
Everybody needs somebody to hold on. There's somebody that'll teach you right from wrong. Turn up light, somebody that prepares the table. Has your back when your life's not stable. So tell me if you know him. Oh, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me beside still waters. He makes me lie down in green pastures. So tell me if you know him, 'cause he knows you. Yeah, tell me if you know him, 'cause he knows you. You're 17, almost took my life. Would've been gone by suicide. Did the day my life was worth that much? Giving up, yeah, I had enough. But then I felt the light. It was still day by night. I heard a voice just say, my son, you'll be okay. fall short of the glory. For the wages of sin is death. For we all have sinned, fall short of the glory. For the wages of sin is death. But there's forgiveness in Jesus Christ. He'll give you freedom and save your life. Just hand it to Jesus, let go of your sin. He'll give you forgiveness from all of that sin. This is the message that we heard from God. To talk to you that God is light and ain't no dark in him. We say the truth. If we say we have no sin in us, deceive ourselves. If we say we have no sin in us, call God a liar. We confess our sins. He's faithful and just to forgive our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Blessed is the man who doesn't walk with the wicked, sit with the mockers.
Yo, I need to get a new carpet. This carpet is done for it.
Amen. He'll choose the unwise over a scholar. Alright, don't need degrees to preach about Father. Right, Father. The knowledge of man never led us to Father. Right, Father. Men lead you astray when they act like they ought to. Right, Father. Right, Father. Right. For we all have sinned, fall short of the glory. For the wages of sin is death. For we all have sinned, fall short of the glory. For the wages of sin is death. But there's forgiveness in Jesus Christ. He'll give you freedom and save your life. Just hand it to Jesus, let go of your sin. He'll give you forgiveness from all of your sin.
I came to take my life back. Give me that. I came to take my life back. I need to clean this carpet. Give me that. I came to take my life back. Give me that.
Nature-made magnesium is made to care for your whole body every day.
Getting too cool? Give them Temptations Creamy Puree.
A 3% IRA match with Robinhood Gold. The reckoning has commenced.
My name is Abby, and I have 3 kids who keep me on the go nonstop. I love to sneak in a run or Pilates class.
need a refreshing. Oh, I want you here. Oh, will you stay right here by me? You send down the rain, 'cause I need, no, these clouds ain't going away.
Everything's all right.
If you are
Once again with you, reach out for you. Oh, I'm reaching out for you. Only you feel this void. Only you. Let the church sing. Oh, you're covering me. Loving you is easy. Give my life no meaning. Quiet my soul. Take my hand and lead me by your way.